We're here in Portugal in Faro, and we wanted to share with you our first impressions because we've never been here before. See if we're, made a horrible mistake or if we feel all right about things, and back up and share you a little bit of our journey to get to Portugal.
So the first thing that we needed to do before we got on the plane was get our COVID tests. It's a requirement currently, even though we are vaccinated. And so we went through CVS. It ended up being free for us. And then when we did it, we ended up getting the results 25 hours later. So it was super fast. We were a little worried that we wouldn't get them back in time. Dan had called the airline beforehand to confirm did you have to get the test 72 hours before our first flight out of Austin or the flight that connects to Portugal? And it turned out they told us the first flight out of Austin. So that was our flight from Austin to Newark. And so we did that. Test came back negative. Everything was good. And then after that, all we really had to do was resituate our bags and make sure that nothing weighed over 50 pounds. So we reorganized all of our stuff. And then we were on our way.
Yeah. So the plane flight for me went well. Michelle didn't have such a good a time.
Yeah, the flight from Newark to Portugal or to Lisbon, Dan had a super good setup. He had like an eye mask and we had our pillows from home and we had the blankets that the airline had provided. And so he was all cozy and we had earplugs and he was all set to go. I had earplugs and headphones, but they weren't noise canceling or anything. And with all the light that was happening, we were kind of near a bathroom and the guy behind me was kicking a lot and making a lot of loud noises. And so I think I was just very stressed about the flight in general, about moving, not just traveling, we were moving, that's a big deal. So it was a pretty miserable flight for me. And I think if I were to do it again, I would definitely get an eye mask. But ideally I'd also get noise canceling headphones because those have really helped me in the past to really just kind of block everything out. So if you're making that trip, that's my recommendation.
Yeah, we arrived in Lisbon and I was all worried about getting through the customs and how that would go on because it's still, as of last week when we went through, Americans were only allowed in with a visa. So we went, but that was so smooth. We just walked right through. You couldn't even go through the line to declare anything. So we weren't going to, but just walked right through. That was really great. And there we were. We arrived in Lisbon. We were there for 3 days.
Oh, the other thing that we should mention is that we ended up deciding to not take the last leg of our flight. We were going to fly from Lisbon to Faro, which is where we're at now. But we decided to stay in Lisbon for a few days to drop off the majority of our bags at a storage unit. And Dan had called the airline ahead of time to make sure that this was okay. And it ended up being kind of an issue, which we kind of chalk up to just poor communication across companies. I think that's pretty common. Sometimes it's referred to as bureaucracy problems in Portugal. Something else, I don't know if it's the same or if it's something different, but we've also experienced there's just a difference in customer service and expectations around if you tell a customer something, is that going to be true or not?
Yeah. There's
been a little discrepancy there. So when we approached the airline at Newark to try to say, hey, we're going to stop in Lisbon, don't put our bags onto Faro, they were like, no, we're going to have to charge you $300. And it ultimately, they eventually told us all you have to do is go to Lost and Found in Lisbon and tell them to pull your bags, which we did. It took 15 minutes. It was super easy, but it was a bit stressful, especially considering that Dan had already called and tried to work this out with the airline. And the people at the desk were very open with, well, the people at the airline that you call often give poor information. It's often not matching what's happening. And so then the people at the front desk often get the brunt of people's frustration when that's happening. So,
yeah. Well, we arrived and our driver that we had arranged, he got in a car accident before he came, but we called an Uber and we got an XL and somehow he fit all of our luggage in his car, which, it wasn't an XL by American standards, but for Portugal it is. And he just got all our 6 big bags and 2 small bags and our bodies all in there comfortably, and we got our stuff in storage. So now that we've been here I don't know how long we've been here.
Who knows?
I don't know. I'm not going to say because time is just in a weird place right now. But we do have some first impressions to give you. So first is actually back to the customer service thing. Everyone told us about this, that things just don't always communicate well, like when you're dealing with any customer service. So people are wonderful, but there is this like disconnect with like trying to get things done
and communicating
communication.
expectations and
Yeah.
and all that. A couple of times this has come up. Like we met this guy who owns the restaurant we were eating at. The food was wonderful. He was so friendly and giving us tips on where to live, and he was so awesome. But something we're used to in the United States is like when you go to a store, they might list all the ways you can pay. So it'll say here the credit cards we accept, or like cash only, or whatever. And by the time we were ready to pay, it turned out that we didn't have the right kind of international card to pay, nor did we have cash. And he was super nice and was like, oh, just go across the street and get some cash and come back, which we did, and it wasn't a problem. He was super nice about it, but I'm just used to knowing that ahead of time, because if it had been a problem, I'm not sure what we would have done.
But yeah, just everyone kind of told us about this, either the bureaucracy with the working with the government or anything like that, or just customer service in general. It's just a little different. People are wonderful, but getting the right answers all the time and being prepared is just a little tricky.
Yeah.
But speaking of restaurants here and food in general has surpassed our expectations.
Oh my gosh, the food is so fresh, and the produce has been so good. And right before we did this trip, some of you might know that we did a trip around the United States, the South area. So there weren't many vegetables to be seen in our diet for about 2 months. But here it's been so fresh and delicious, really, really good. So we're really excited about that. That's fun.
And in Lisbon, like there's a lot of international food. So we had we're in Europe now. So Italy's not too far away. So we have the influence here with great pizza, and we had sushi, and just the food 100%. Surpassed my expectations.
One thing that's been interesting with that is finding restaurants, because we usually use Google Maps to find places to eat, and we'll usually just put in like food near me or like pizza or whatever. But the restaurants don't seem to be indexed in the same way here. So if you do that, you're not going to get like everything that's nearby. You're going to get some of the stuff that's nearby. But if you look at places by name, like if you walk by it and you want to try it or you want to see what their ratings are, it shows up there and they'll have ratings. So it's just been a little different for us from a process of finding food, but the food that we found has been really delicious.
We've gone to several grocery stores now. And what do you think about them?
I think honestly, they're way more similar to the United States than I expected, in a great way. There's a lot of varieties of food. I don't think there's a whole lot that we won't be able to find if we want it. And the produce, again, seems amazing. And we're really excited about the pastries and stuff.
Yeah, and I'm excited about just all the ingredients here, because like the cheese aisle is huge. And there's all the imported goods from the rest of Europe, so I'm really excited once we get settled to use them a bit more in our cooking.
Yeah, even though Dan does speak Portuguese, there's been some things that have been harder to translate with, like from a product perspective, where we have the Google Translate app that you can just point directly at the text, and so it'll translate it, and that's been helpful as well. So grocery stores have actually been, that was a relief to me. I wasn't quite sure what to expect, but it's super comfortable. It's been great.
Yeah.
So.
Speaking of stores, we've been to a couple malls and been shopping. I personally thought there's lots of variety in clothes, but my expectations are a little different because men are it's easier to shop for us. But what do you think?
Yeah, I think the weather here is a little bit more, it's a bit warmer, so I was looking for dresses, and from a quality perspective, I felt like there wasn't as many higher or even medium quality stores. I felt like a lot of the stores were either like H&M quality, or like, reminded me a lot, if you're familiar with the store Papaya in the States, that's kind of this feeling that I get from the majority of stores here. And so I'm really excited to find some more medium or higher quality stores that have some of that similar style, because the style is cute. It's just the quality is not something that I would usually purchase. So we did see some higher quality, like there were some really beautiful fabrics, but they were the styles were a little bit stiffer or more like professional, I guess. So I think we just haven't quite found the right spots yet, but overall, I think we'll be able to find stuff either in stores or online. We've already started identifying some stores that we can like order online from, including Amazon Spain or Amazon Germany. And the thing there is you will have to purchase a new Prime account, like it doesn't work internationally, but they will ship in 2 days as long as you get it in the EU, to where you're at. So we're going to be doing a couple of purchases that way.
Yeah, so we're not too concerned about finding anything. Some things are a little more expensive, but it's not a big deal. And when we go back to the States, we can stock up if we need to.
Yeah.
But overall, feeling pretty comfortable about the shopping that's available for us. Climate, we had done a lot of, I do want to say, everyone kind of said the same thing about the clothes before we came. I heard that the quality just wasn't there, and I was like, I don't understand. And so we got here, and it's like, oh, okay, it's kind of all like H&M quality, where the fabric's just not as nice. But it's here. We're not gonna have to worry about finding clothes at all, if we need it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, but going back to the climate, we did a lot of research about the climate, and we wanted to come here to escape the Austin heat, and we just happened to come during a heat wave. So I still love the sea breeze that we've been getting. It's just been a bit hot, but it's a heat wave, so it should calm down.
And while we were in Lisbon, I felt like it was colder in the mornings and colder in the evenings, and so sometimes I would need a light jacket at that time, and then during the middle of the day it was like hot. So looking forward to it cooling down just a little bit, because it doesn't feel like we escaped a whole lot. But
yeah, but we did come. It's middle of June, and still with the highest it's gotten is the mid 80s. So still haven't hit the 100-degree weather that we're used to in Portugal. I mean in Austin. So that's 2 thumbs up there. The people here are rated, we read somewhere, the most friendly people in the world. I've never been everywhere in the world, but I can say they're very friendly here. So that's been good. Yeah,
for the most part, everyone has been really open and really wonderful to us, including people in the expat community that we've met. We've shared meals with a couple of different expat groups, and they've been so nice to us. I will say, and one of the couples that we've been talking to, they said, there's kind of a sentiment around, like, if you are an American, like, you're not, even if you live here, you're not going to be Portuguese. Like, they don't think that you live here. You're just visiting. And I've gotten a little bit of that sentiment from some people. Like, if, I don't know, a woman was displeased with me in the bathroom at the mall because I wasn't, I didn't speak Portuguese, and I think the communication was frustrating. Anyway,
I think it's kind of like anywhere where there's always a couple bad apples, or people just having a bad day. That's okay.
Yeah.
But in general, people are so nice. People are so helpful and just trying to make sure we enjoy ourselves. So,
yeah, really overwhelmingly, everyone's been just really open and wonderful. So
including the language. So we heard that everyone speaks English, and it's true. Not everyone, but everyone that we've spoken to pretty much has spoken English, including I speak Portuguese. It's Brazilian Portuguese, and it's a little rusty, but I can get by very well. But as soon as I speak Portuguese and they hear my accent, they just respond with English. So it's been kind of funny. I'm sure I'll be able to find some people that speak Portuguese with get my language skills up, but pretty much everyone has spoken English to us at this point.
Which has been great for me, because it's made the adjustment a lot easier. So. Yeah. But yeah, if you only speak English, in fact, a lot of the people that we're meeting with, like expats and stuff and whatnot, not everyone is even making a complete effort to learn Portuguese, because so many people speak English that it's really comfortable.
Yeah. The last thing is, we were kind of thinking about COVID before we came. Is we were leaving the States at a time where things were we're doing really well in the United States and coming over here. But here it's very simple. Everyone wears a mask. There's no anti-mask movement or anything that I've noticed. People just wear a mask if you're close by, so that's been good. Just not for it to not be an issue, whether you want or not. And then vaccinations here are rolling out, so numbers are staying pretty low. I think they're just a month or two behind the U.S.
Yeah, so not everyone has had the opportunity to get vaccinated, because there's still the age brackets are still pretty high. And so in Lisbon, they've lowered them a little bit. And so we met an individual who he's 30, and so he'll be able to get vaccinated in 2 weeks. That's when he can start to apply to get it. So not everyone has them, but it sounds like it's rolling out, and it feels, I don't know, people just seem eager to kind of go back to their normal lives, but they're doing so safely. There's a lot, out on the streets, if you're passing people, everyone's wearing a mask. So it's a non-issue.
It's really non-issue, which is we're grateful for that.
Yeah.
So next steps, we are traveling around the country a little bit to get our bearings and to either rule out or get really interested in where we're gonna stay. We always thought Lisbon, and just based on our research. So now we've been in Lisbon a couple of days. We're gonna travel around and go back to Lisbon, and we're gonna actually today start looking at apartments online and go from there.
One of our new expat friends, they have a beautiful apartment in Lisbon, and it really set my expectations high. They also gave us a lot of really good information about what to look for in an apartment, and how to kind of navigate relationships with landlords and those types of things, since they are so different here. So as we kind of get better about that, we'll share all that information. But again, like he said, we think still probably will land in Lisbon, and there's so many cool neighborhoods to be in. And the food was so good, and we'd be close to the airport and close to a lot of good transportation, and still even close to beaches. So I still think that's probably our top pick. But we had lunch with a couple expats everywhere today, and they are really making a strong case for Porto.
Yeah.
So you never know.
Let us know. What do you think? But yeah, things are going well. Just taking it one step at a time. Trying not to be too, stay too disoriented, because
I think the jet lag really, it wasn't so much that we were sleepy. For me, the sleepiness wasn't the biggest problem with the jet lag. It was the kind of the mental health element of it, and being in such a new place. I was pretty out of sorts for a few days, not really sure about this decision that we made. But this, truthfully, like honestly, the city is so beautiful, and it makes me, there's so many other European cities that feel similar to Portugal, even though we've never been to Portugal before. There were remnants of Paris and Ireland and Italy, it's making me so excited to get to travel to all these places with so much ease. There's a lot of really beautiful cultural things happening, and a lot of really good food. So
it didn't feel too strange, because we've been traveling around Europe before, and it felt just not the same, but it felt comfortable.
Yeah, and the better we have been at getting back on a regular sleep schedule that is like regular with the sun here. I have felt more optimistic and felt more comfortable, and I think it's going to continue to feel that way, especially once we get settled in an apartment and are no longer kind of being transient and be kind of settled in the city. So it was a little bumpy to start, but I think that's just jet lag. I think that's going to happen, and I'm really excited. So if you have any recommendations for where we should look, or even like neighborhoods within Lisbon, if you think you'd recommend that we stay there, let us know. If there's any food to try, or even if you have another recommendation for ways to look for food, if Google Maps is not the thing, if there's another way that let us know, because we want to know. Any other tips or tricks, let us know as we get settled down.
Oh, there's sirens going by right now, which you just heard, which brought up another expectation. And I just want to say, we did a lot of research before we came, so we kind of knew a lot of these things. But the dogs, everyone talks about, the dogs bark. We've been lucky, we hear the dogs barking, and we tried to be outside for this video, and the dogs were barking, so we came inside. But it's not like a huge deal.
No, we had an apartment in Austin where the dogs barked so loudly that we had to move. And that has not been a problem here so far. Granted, we've been here less than a week. It's not been a problem so far. The other thing we heard is that there's dog poop everywhere. And while we have seen it, we've seen it on the sidewalk. I've seen it maybe 2 or 3 times, so slightly more than in the United States, but not anything that is like obscene.
And it wouldn't make me not move here, because it's just a little annoyance of people don't clean up after their dogs. And it's real, but I'm glad we didn't let that deter us.
Anyway, okay, I think those are our main first takes of being in Portugal. If we missed anything, or if you have any questions, let us know. Subscribe, leave us a comment, follow us on Instagram @HoneymoonAlways, and we'll talk to you soon.